welcome. Happy New Year still. Yes, for some of us, we're still celebrating New Year, and that's okay. I'm still working on these. I have another one. Should we see what's in it? Ooh, that was a big one. Let me see. This one looks like it's for a kid, but I gotta let you know, I've been opening them just to get rid of them, and
like it's for a kid.
This one right here. Oops, I could hear myself on another feed. This one came out of this. Happy New Year, Happy New Year. I like it. I think maybe that's a hint. I don't know. As you come in, please let me know where you're joining from. I'm excited for all of you to be here as we launch the new year, the Monique Pressley Show, formerly Make It Make Sense. We're still making it make sense here. That's still what we're doing. If it's convoluted, if it's crazy, if it needs clarity, we're going to be doing our best to try to explain it to you. And something that I was talking to you about yesterday, I've got my pen because I'm a note taker. Something that I was talking to you about yesterday is super important, and I want to be talking about it every day, really, but especially today. Especially today, I want to be making sure that I'm talking to you about it, and that's the midterms. That's the midterms, because all roads lead to the midterms. The things that we were talking about yesterday, when we were talking about healthcare, when we were talking about starting foreign wars without permission, without congressional approval, without constitutionality, when we were talking about all of the different ways that this administration has been doing a piss poor job of leading, but has been doing a stellar job of being criminal, and has been doing a stellar job of taking care of the wealthy who don't even really need for us to take care of them. That they have on lock. But the actual work of running this country, no, not so much. Not so much. And so what I need for people to be doing is recognizing that we ourselves are responsible for our own freedom. And the only way that that's going to happen for us is if we make sure that we are doing our job. What's our job? To vote. What's our job? To vote, to organize, to donate, to run for office, all the things. That's what we can do. If you're unfamiliar with why midterms are important, as I said yesterday, an election is every single year. There are elections every year. So this is not an election year. Every year is an election year. But this is particularly important. Every other year, the midterm elections mean that every single member of the House of Representatives is running for office. And it means that every person in the Senate, a third of them, is running for office. So you've got a third of the senators that are running, and you've got every single member of the House of Representatives. I think their max is 435. I don't know, with all of the deaths and with all of the people resigning, all of the things. I don't know the exact number that is right now, but they are all up for office, every last one of them. And it's important that we vote. It's important that we organize. It's important that we raise funds. It's important that we make our voices known, especially at a time when it seems even the president is aware that everything is riding on the midterms. Yesterday, he said, well, about 18 hours ago, he was talking to the Republicans at their retreat, and go look at the video. He says, you got to win the midterms. He's telling Republicans that's what they have to do, because if we don't win the midterms, he'll be impeached. Well, I mean, sure, there are probably 15,000 things that he's done by now that are impeachable. But what is most important because they want to say that to scare MAGA into supporting, and that's not the most important thing, because he's been impeached twice already, and in the Senate they didn't have the supermajority that they needed in order to vote him out. So that's not it. What's important is that there's a check on his power. What's important is that the congressional branch of government is doing something in order to check the executive. That's why we are supposedly a country that has checks and balances system. That's why there's 3 different branches of government. But we have seen a consolidation of power under Trump, like there has been really in no other presidency. None whatsoever. So no matter what the thing is you think needs to be fixed, the place where it needs to be fixed is with the midterms. I know that's not as close as you want it to be, but it is our first and best chance. Hi there. I'm looking now. Hi there, Evelyn RG7619. Thanks for joining. I want to show you guys something, because one of the elections that is going to matter the most, like the absolute most, is in the state of Texas, the great state of Texas. I have posted already my support for Congresswoman Jasmine Crockett as she runs to unseat John Cornyn, whoever they end up with as the Republican nominee. Texas tried and is getting away with redistricting to the point that they actually redistricted Congresswoman Crockett out of the district she lives in. What they're doing is lawless. It is criminal. It's going to ultimately be decided in the Supreme Court. But for now, they are able to go forward. And so we need every seat we can. Texas is my home state. You guys know that. It's got the most Black people in the country. Yet we find that the representation is not near what it should be. So I am glad that Congresswoman Crockett has put her hat in the ring. I'm glad that she is running, and she spoke recently at The View. Let's see if we can show you what she had to say.
Now, I know there are a lot of people that are talking about this is good for the Venezuelan people because Maduro was a bad guy, but that's not why he did it. He has not cared about Venezuelans at all. Let me be clear about that part.
That's true.
And here's the receipts. The Enemy Aliens Act, which most of us had never heard of because it's from the 1700s, he invoked it specifically because of Venezuelans. He said, we are being attacked and invaded by Venezuelans. That was number 1. Then the next thing that you know, CCOT, that's where he was sending Venezuelans. Remember the 60-minute episode that they did not want to air about how they were treating them, mistreating them at CCOT? That's where he sent Venezuelans. Then after that, he was illegally killing folk, saying that, oh, well, they're bringing drugs because it was supposedly about fentanyl, which is not where we get fentanyl,
No, it isn't.
to be clear. So then he killed over 100 people with these bombs that he was dropping. And then when he went in to get Maduro, he killed even more Venezuelans. This ain't about Venezuelans. I get that there are people that don't like the leader. But guess what? There are a lot of people that don't like our leader. And regardless, somebody coming into the United States and grabbing our leader in the middle of the night and killing people in this country, I'm sure everybody would be outraged at them doing it that way. Now, I know there are a lot of people that are talking about this is good.
Everybody would be outraged, maybe at them doing it that way. But as one of the viewers said yesterday, there are many people who are like, child, they can have them. And I understand that point of view also. I really do understand that point of view. But what Congresswoman Crockett is saying is right. What she's saying is that lawlessness cannot be the measure of the day. That can't be the way that we get things done. There has to be a system of laws in place. And we have to have people running for office who care about those laws. That's why whether we're talking about Venezuela, whether we're talking about healthcare, whether we're talking about education, whether we're talking about crime and justice, whether we're talking about women's bodies and bodily autonomy, no matter what the subject is, it comes back to having people in those seats, those elected offices, where we pay them to represent us, it comes back to having people there who actually care about our interests. And so Congresswoman Crockett is one of those people. I hope that you will get involved and support her run. We need to see more Black people running for office. We need to see more Black women supported. If y'all had just voted for that Black lady, I'm just saying, things could have gone a little differently if y'all had only voted. But the racism, the sexism, the misogyny in this country, and it's not just by those who are prevailing and predominantly in power. We know that white men with money are the ones predominantly in power, but we see women who don't want other women in charge in the highest office of the land. We see Black folks who don't want other Black folks in charge in the highest office in the land. And when that sexism and that racism, that misogyny, when it all converges, we end up with the second Donald Trump presidency. Yeah, that's how we got there. We end up with the second Trump presidency because people were not interested in their own best interests. They weren't interested in doing what mattered for us. Thank you. I appreciate you. Let me see your name. Put it up here. Trishelle Williams. Glad that you are with us. And this is a great time, great reminder for me to say, please hit like, please hit subscribe so the algo can be our friend and so more people can know that we are here. We're going to try to also be on Instagram, but you know, it's uncomfortable on Instagram. You won't be able to communicate in the comments, and I know people are used to us being over there, but we had to just do the hard open and move over to where the opportunity resides to be able to reach as many people as possible and to have maximum engagement with people. And after the broadcast, you can also listen on Spotify. So Trump thinks he's going to get impeached. What do you think? Is there grounds for impeachment with Venezuela? Is there grounds for impeachment with Doge? Is there grounds for impeachment with gutting the Department of Education? Is there grounds for impeachment with the mockery and criminality of the handling of the Epstein files? Are there grounds? Probably, surely grounds. But is that what we should be looking at right now? Is that what we should be focused on? For some, that may be enough reason in and of itself to vote, in the hopes that if we have the votes, if we take over the House again, and if we then take over the Senate, but I remind you, it has to be a 2/3 majority in the Senate in order for the impeachment to actually, the impeachment comes from the House, the calling of the question. But he will not be. I see what you're saying. Hey there, LH. I'll put it on the screen. You're right. Probably the House will do it again. If they did it now, there would be no chance, even if by some miracle, because the margins are so slim in the House of Representatives, even if they brought the question for the impeachment, which then gets carried to the Senate for a trial and for a determination of whether there would be a conviction and a removal. No. Yeah, that 2/3 is going to kill it. But, you know, 2/3 is not out of our reach. Thank you. Please like, please subscribe. Please continue to follow us and set your alerts and share with other people. You're right, though. You're right. We don't have the numbers now, but are the numbers out of our reach? No. No, they're not. It's up to us. It's up to us. Because we're seeing, if I just looked at what happened with healthcare and what is going on right now, which is my second topic of the day. Go ahead and scratch that off. Y'all know I keep my notes. If we're looking at how House of Representatives and the Senate under the GOP completely failed the American people, completely failed their own citizens, their own voters in their districts. I mean, completely failed to do the job to protect us, to keep us healthy, to keep us where we have affordable health care, to keep us where people will be able to get the treatment that they need and not have to choose whether they're going to get their diabetes medication or whether they're going to eat. Because these are the choices now that are about to happen. And it's frankly idiotic, because when people can't get primary care, when they can't get regular appointments, they end up getting sicker and going to emergency rooms, and prices skyrocket for emergency care, and emergency rooms become overrun, which is the situation that we're seeing in large swaths of the southernmost part of this country, where we read these stories about women in Georgia who have to go miles and miles and miles for care and are dying. So when you look at a circumstance like that and you see that the GOP isn't just interested in its own power, it really is a complete dereliction of duty. It's negligence in the highest order as an elected official, in that they don't care about the people who voted for them. Who do you think the majority of people are that are receiving Medicare, receiving Medicaid, receiving support for eating, food stamps? Who is it? It's not Black folks, it's not brown folks. And then the large percentage that are children. For us to have a government that just simply does not care, that would rather see something burned to the ground because the person who initiated it and brought it to being, President Barack Obama, would forever be known for caring enough and using his political power in a way that helped to make Americans healthier. Now, any other civilized country in the world, oh, this isn't even a thing. Same as other issues that we have that other civilized countries don't, whether it's guns or domestic abuse, all of the wrongful death cases that we see here. Other countries are not dealing with that kind of police violence. Other civilized democracies, I should say. Third world countries, yes. Dictatorships, yes. But those cases there don't even get prosecuted because whatever they do is right. And that's the kind of leader we have now. We have a whatever we do, we being the Trump administration, is right kind of government. Is that what you really want? Is that what you're interested in? Because even though we're talking about healthcare right now, what's my answer going to be? All roads lead to the midterms. Are you registered to vote? Is everyone who's old enough in your family registered to vote? Have you started organizing? Are you showing up to local meetings? Are you doing what you can in order to ensure that everybody you can touch is registered to vote? Because the big, beautiful bill that ended up being the big, ugly bill that robbed us, that bill never would have happened. The heist, the Doge heist, where Elon Musk and company, with full permission of Trump, got access to God knows how much of our information, access to Social Security information, income, earnings, investments, medical history, you name it. Who knows what they didn't access or where they took it and put it, and see, once they had done that, and once they had moved around everything they could move around, no need for that gig anymore. Gone. But that wouldn't have happened either. If you look at the gutting of the Department of Education, all the people who were fired, now ultimately, many of them are getting their jobs back, and many more are going to, because, as I said, it's a heist. It's unlawful activity. Shiny object over here while we steal everything over there. Office of Management and Budget. Russell Vogt. There's this thing called the impoundment clause. Look it up. Russell Vogt, OMB, impoundments. They think that if Congress, who's supposed to have the power of the purse, who is supposed to say Department of Education gets $2 trillion and Department of Labor gets $1.5 billion and et cetera and so on, because they supposedly are supposed to be able to pass a budget and determine the amounts that our government gets all across the government. And that's law, which is supposed to be followed by the executive branch. But under the Trump administration, part 1 and part 2, but more so now in part 2, they treat that like it's suggestions. Oh, well, we thought the maximum that we could spend on Department of Education was $2 trillion. So we spent $50 million, and we took the remaining $1.5 trillion. We took the remaining money that was supposed to be allocated for the children of the United States, and we spent it acquiring foreign oil. We spent it on wars. We spent it on tax breaks for the wealthy. We spent it on ballrooms. We spent it on designer planes. You got it? Because see, if you're dealing with a lawless head, then there's really no limit to what they can accomplish, because they don't have barriers. They don't have limits. They don't have standards or morals. There's no boundary. There's no red line to cross. There are no lines. So when you deal with people who run governments like that, who desire to be dictatorships, and I see you, LAH, K1R, you're right. You're right. Technically, you're right. It is in many ways a dictatorship. I understand why you would say that. But there are some parts of the system that are still working. And so in that regard, democracy has not completely failed. We are seeing that when the Trump administration makes attempts to do its most lawless behavior, recently we saw it with all of these cases against Tish James, trying again and again to indict her, trying again and again to indict all of Trump's viewed opponents, his enemies list, people who are just doing their jobs, but in his mind, enemies, opponents. It's not that he broke the law and their job was to prosecute someone who broke the law, or to sue civilly in the case of New York Attorney General Tish James. HU, But when he's tried those things, it's been failing. The courts have been a stop. Not Supreme Court, I understand. They're loath to have to be called upon at this point. They're like, oh God, please don't let it make it here. We don't want to have to speak against him. That's the way they sound to me. The ones appointed by him. who, by the way, wouldn't have been appointed by him if you had done what? Voted for that other lady who was nominated. Do y'all remember? Secretary Hillary Rodham Clinton. Oh, all the purity tests. Man, you want to talk about liberal dreams, purity tests, sexism, misogyny, full display. In what world did it ever make sense? In what world did it ever make sense for someone as qualified, as capable, as brilliant, as experienced as a Hillary Rodham Clinton? What world did it ever make sense for her to lose to a carnival barker? And so the carnival barker got elected, got Supreme Court appointments. I mean, these are plans that the GOP had been making for decades that are coming to fruition. Project 2025 is just the latest name, the latest iteration of what they had been working on for decades. And it's all coming to pass. It's all coming to pass. And there was everything in the world that we could have done about it. So voting matters. Voting has consequences. The Supreme Court is a consequence of the failure to vote. Not just those who voted the wrong way, but all the ones who sat it out. The apathy in the voting, the sexism, yes. In the case of VP Harris, the sexism and the racism, yes. But the apathy, the sitting down, the staying at home, the being on the couch, watching it all happen as if none of it affects you one way or the other. Congresswoman Crockett says all the time, Texas is not red. Texas is blue, non-voting. So many people are just detached from the system. And unfortunately, this pain that we are beginning to experience in earnest, the continued flailing and failing economy, now these prices skyrocketing for healthcare, which is going to have people sicker and cause people to die. These things are unfortunately going to be teachers for voters who thought that the madman, the carnival barker turned madman, was going to do something for them. People who bought into it, who thought they needed a change and did not understand that much of the good that the Biden-Harris administration was getting accomplished after they had to pull us out of a recession, because after every Republican president, we do the pullout. Democrat gets in and has to pull us out of recession, out of poverty, out of all the things. And yes, those who are the most disenfranchised, those who are the most oppressed, those who are in the poorest communities feel the effects last, always. That is an unfortunate truth. And that's black, white, brown communities. They feel the effects of the good last. And so in an election season, if you got somebody who just lies for a living, who will tell you anything, I'm going to fix the economy, I'm going to fix inflation, I'm going to fix the prices, everything's going to happen like that. Remember what he said? Remember what he said he would do about Ukraine? Oh, in a day, it'll be resolved. It's a joke, right? I mean, when you look up joke in the dictionary, his picture is there. It is. Go check. People bought that. People said the I alone can fix it guy. They were so desperate, so hurting, so not feeling the boom, even though we at that point had one of the best economies in the world. They weren't feeling it in their pockets. So here comes this guy, and immigrants believed him. and people who were not here legally, but were hardworking and paying taxes and all the things, they thought he would only go after criminals. Yep. If immigration is one of your topics, something you care about, all roads lead to the midterm. All roads lead to the midterm. Let me see what y'all are saying. What do y'all think? For my Spotify folks, the comment from LHA K1R is, I'm not convinced that his voters are that stupid. They are mostly just racist. I don't know. I don't know. Because what I find is that people who want to vote for their own interests, but yes, have some sexism, some racism, some whatever going on. If you give them the information and some inspiration, they will then vote. I'm not talking about those diehards. I'm not talking about the maggot brains, some of whom even now are waking up also. But many of the people who refused to vote for Hillary Rodham Clinton and refused to vote for Kamala Devi Harris voted for Barack Obama. That's not racism. That's sexism. That's some deeply embedded into this country sexism that cannot be ignored. And it is also a function of what happens in this country when we are coming off of a stable period, like 4 years of stability. For whatever reason, with many voters in this country, they feel like they need a change from that. And then we get into this chaos, and then the voters need a change from that. It's like some bipolar voting, actually. It's like two poles, two extremes. I like not having to wake up and wonder what the president of the United States did that was crazy the night before. I like not having to look at the news just to make sure that there's not bombs coming, or make sure that we haven't blown up another country, or make sure that he hasn't embarrassed us on the world stage, or make sure that he hasn't fired another few thousand people. I like being able to go to sleep knowing that whether I agree with every single thing that the president of the United States is doing, or that the vice president of the United States is doing, that I can trust their judgment, that they are sane, that they are competent, that they are patriots, that they care about the citizens of this country. I like being able to go to bed and wake up knowing those things. Doesn't mean that there's not plenty to advocate for civil rights, for women's rights, for rights for special needs communities. I'm just naming the things that I care about and fight for. Does it mean we don't have those fights? Does it mean that we're not responsible for pressuring our leaders and holding their feet to the fire and making sure that they know that if they don't do what we need them to do, then they're not going to have that job? Absolutely, we have to do those things. It doesn't mean that. But there are so many other ways to pressure our elected officials than to elect a madman. There's so many other ways. And that's why I say, though this is a critically important election year, every year is an election year. And they're all frankly critically important. The reason why this one matters so much is because we are on the verge of losing our democracy. And we need to check on old dude who's staying in the government property. And again, making changes to that without even asking anybody. Because again, when you're lawless, permission for what? So if you, like me, would enjoy stability, like if that would be good for your nervous system, if you wouldn't mind being able to take care of the cares and concerns, challenges, triumphs, plans, visions for your own life without having to, by way of trauma response, be checking the news every 10 minutes to make sure that something else hasn't happened. If it would be good for you to have people in office with spines, like a Congress that would stand up to the executive branch and say, we, through the Constitution, have been given certain powers that are ours, the power of the purse, the power to pass laws, that we represent the people, and we are going to check you, Mr. President, sir, because you are an embarrassment and you are lawless and a godless man. And so if you would like to see those kinds of checks, then we need to be working right now in every possible way that we can in order to ensure that in November there is a blue wave the likes of which this country has never, ever, ever seen. The repudiation needs to be so clear, so powerful, so undeniable that what President Obama called a shellacking way back in the day would look like child's play. We need these midterms to be humiliatingly, embarrassingly clear, not just for that president, but for the grand old party, for the Republicans who have just laid on the ground and given up the ghost and stopped trying. That's not what we need. I'm ready for a change. Anybody else ready for a change? Anybody? Anybody ready for a change? Because it's time. I mean, right now it's time. All right. I think that's all I have for today. What we talk about? Midterms, yes. Immigration and midterms, yes. Healthcare and midterms, yes. Venezuela, foreign affairs and midterms, yes. I will vote. Go there to make sure that you're registered and everything is in order. Let's go there. You want to call somebody, talk to somebody, complain to somebody about what they're doing right now? Do that too. 202-224-3121. Or write them. Or pull up. It's your Congress. Those are your halls. You can walk in anytime they're open. Walk in, not storm in, not commit crimes. Walk in when they are open. See what I did there? Alrighty. Please subscribe. Please like. Please share the information. That's the most important thing that I could ask you to do. And if you'd like to support us, I would love it. You can support us here by subscribing and become a part of this community. You can support us via PayPal at Monique Pressley TV. Cash App, same thing, Monique Pressley TV. We would love for you to become a friend of the show and keep coming back. Would love it, love it, love it, love it. Alrighty. Until tomorrow, noon Eastern. Between now and then, y'all stay safe out there.